Alright, I'm back. Oh my god. I'm back from marathon running. Earlier on stream. And I just pitter-pattered in the shower. I just like rinsed myself a little. And now I'm back. I don't think I need camera for this at all. So I think I could turn that off. Yeah, that's fine. I could turn that off. So while I was walking back from my to the computer, I was on my phone. I was looking at YouTube, and I saw some called, wasn't it like a Nexpo thing? Okay. I saw a Nexpo vid. There you go. So yeah, I was on my phone. I literally launched it on my phone. Oh my god, this YouTube Premium. Oh well, that sucks. Wait, I should probably hide that. I kind of want to do a react, like just watch this video. Chat, if you're fine with that. That's fine. Let me close my door, and then we could watch this, cause it came out like 2 hours ago. Yeah, and I liked it on my phone, cause I was like, oh my god, it's Petscop. Okay, door closed. Technology secured. I'm fucking. Oh man. Get left to bank. Out of here. I had to take off the headset because wet hair and headset does not make a good combo. How good is it looking right? That's looking good. Okay, let's full screen this. This is Nexpo's video. Check him out. Yeah, YouTube stuff. You know, I don't want to get in troubles. It's not like I'm even going to be producing any view off of this, anyways. So let's see this fucking 3-hour long YouTube video. Okay. I'm pretty sure does he explain? Before we begin, this video utilizes a fan-made Petscop remake named GIFSCOP. Supplement certain points, blah blah blah. GIFSCOP is a one-to-one creation of Petscop, is not canon. Okay. Okay. Me.
The year is 1981. The popularity of the classic arcade is at its peak, often dubbed the Golden Age. Defender, Centipede, Pac-Man, Berserk, Space Invaders, you name it, you can play it. There is one game, though, that stands anomalous. It's a black sheep, a diamond in the rough.
Oh, diamond in the rough. Polybius. Wait, what? I thought this was Petscop.
By the early 2000s, he
fuck?
would cement itself as one of the very first video game urban legends.
Am I tripping? Did I get the wrong video?
And at this point, you know that it isn't real. It's a hoax, but that hadn't slowed intrigue. Surprisingly, it all began with a single post on coinop.org, a database of coin-operated arcade games. The author made claims surrounding its players and how they develop severe conditions like amnesia, modified behavior, in horrible nightmares. It's definitely eerie, and playing something that alters the way you think, the way you behave, and the way you perceive the world around you would undoubtedly spark keen interest in locating it to try it for yourself. As expected, the game was never physically found, a point that would only later add fuel to an already raging mystery. To date, there is a monstrosity of info remaining around this game, and perhaps we'll come back to it at a later time. The point that I wanted to drive home here was the fact that this single post, this mysterious enigma, had successfully carved its own niche and paved the path for other video game mysteries to come. Others, like this one.
Okay. Okay, so he's gonna get into it. Okay. So he was like painting the president. Okay.
Petscop. A video game with supposedly one single copy and an obscure and disturbing relic with a myriad of secrets. Within this game, there exists a backstory so complex and so intricate that documents spanning hundreds of pages exist just to dissect the mystery within.
That's absurd. Isn't this like this whole thing just like recorded on like YouTube? And all of it is a little silly. Live reaction. Guess IRL to the I swear I didn't need face cam.
It's the 12th of March 2017, and a video enters cyberspace. It's 9 minutes long and centers around a person named Paul documenting his experience playing a game called Petscop. Presented like a Let's Play, Paul records these episodes to prove to someone that he's not lying about a game he found planted within his home. Over the course of 24 videos, we follow a curious Paul, hell-bent on uncovering the secrets lying within this otherwise upbeat-looking game. Unbeknownst to him, though, he'd unearthed a bit more than he bargained for, sending him spiraling into a wormhole of family secrets, and ultimately leaving him both unnerved and frustrated, with more questions than answers. Before we get to all that, though, our journey starts a little more mundane, because right here, right now, Paul is in the midst of recording that proof, documenting to what seems like us hard evidence that Petscop truly exists.
I'm not lying about this game that I found.
Okay, I got Fortnite muted. Alright.
I'm just gonna walk you through everything that I've seen so far. And, obviously it'll be exactly as I described it, because this is it.
Paul! Pog! I love Paul.
The game begins in what is called the gift plane. The player character is an inexplicable creature with large feet, hollowed eyes, a triangular mouth, and no hands.
Oh my god, dude.
In the game itself,
Okay, I was running
Carolina,
on the treadmill.
a company that does not exist.
I don't know if there's like water,
As of right now,
ice
the
water
origins of
enjoyers, but
Petscop are
ice
fairly
cold
unknown.
water or
However,
any
the
ice
puzzle
cold beverage
full
after
circle
like a
style.
run. I mean, ice cold water while
One of the
running
first
is
things
like,
Paul does is interact
but
with
like
the scene.
afterwards, like after you get your like breath like
The gift
together
plane
and
is
stuff,
closed indefinitely,
it's
and all
just-
personnel have left. If you're unaware, the gift plane provided homes to over 100
Oh.
pets. Unfortunately, we failed to remove all the pets from their homes. 48 pets remain here at the time of writing. We would strongly encourage you to visit our 8 homes and find some friends to take with you. From here, Paul sets off to explore the gift plane, however quickly realizes that it's unfinished. 7 of the 8 buildings just aren't there, leaving even care as the one and only level available to explore.
This actually is not the interesting part, but I'm just gonna show you, I'm gonna walk you through all this so you can see that this is exactly what I described.
It's a picture of two friends.
Upon entering Even Care, Paul discovers a photo depicting a bird and flower named Tonith and Randus, respectively. Curiously,
do I
their
speed
names
this
are
up?
color-coded. However, a reason why is not yet determined. What is determined is the fact that doors will be a roadblock because the player character doesn't have any hands.
I don't know if I should speed it up. I feel like it's rude
Which
to
kinda
speed it up,
sucks.
but like,
Paul goes on to catch a pet locked behind a cage named Amber, and following this, he encounters a room with one named Ronith, an amalgamation of Tonith and Randus, who we saw in the picture prior. Ronith avoids Paul no matter what he does, leaving him stumped on how to capture them. And as a result, Paul pauses the game to explore the in-game compendium.
Actually show you the pause menu. So here you can see all the pets that you've collected, that you've caught.
While he flies through it, Amber's description is interesting. Amber's a young bull. She's afraid to leave home. If her home is good, this is not a problem. She's very heavy, and that makes her life a little harder, as well as yours. What's the safest place you can put her in? You should start thinking about that.
I remember this from the Pyro
If we can
video.
recall, Amber was locked behind a cage in what resembled a prison cell.
Make
And when
Fortnite
Paul went out
smaller.
of his way to let her out,
Yeah.
she would simply jump to the other.
A
The only way to
small
catch her was
Fortnite.
by surprise.
Yeah,
They put
any
you through a wall,
Fortnite
which leads
enjoyers
us to
go
wonder why she
go
was
to
so
that corner,
hell-bent
man.
on staying
Where's the
within its
Subway
confines.
Surfers corner?
Even stranger is the item description within her room. It's a trophy, awarded to our Amber for being a real champ yesterday and today. She hasn't left her cage once. I don't know about you,
Her
but
cage.
to me, it seems like she's being coerced into staying inside. The wardage is oddly confrontational and could be hinting at some sort of psychological abuse. Now, what the hell am I saying? This is a kid's game where we collect pets. I'm reading way too much into this, right? Right?
Right? Nah.
Unable to figure out how to capture Ronith,
Got
Paul embarks to
him.
explore once more. In his venture, he discovers 3 other pets, all of which require solving puzzles before they can be captured. Upon capturing Randus the flower, Paul explains that he's explored the entire map and has caught every pet available to him.
Except for
Well, except for
Tonith,
one.
or the
So
flower.
he returns to Ronith, revealing
Yeah.
an interesting discovery.
Alright, so I still can't catch this guy. The reason we're here is because in the note that came with this, which is short, the first line in all capital letters, I'm gonna read it. It says, I walked downstairs, and when I got to the bottom, instead of proceeding, I turned the right and became a shadow monster man. Below that, a date, June 13th, 1997. For you, colon. Please go to my website on the sticker, and also go to Ronith's room, and press start, and press down, 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 right, start.
Paul
Oh,
pauses the
that's a
video
good
to note that
fucking-
note.
So I happen to know this is Ronith's
Pause
room,
right
because
there.
it works. So I go here. I'm just gonna do this now.
Got him.
So is it down, 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 down?
My
down,
shirt's a little wet
right,
though.
Start. Alright. So you can see that it accepted it and the music stopped. I'm just gonna go out this way here.
Immediately, it becomes clear that something has changed. The music has stopped.
Uh-huh.
Time stands still,
But the funny pitter patter of the character, man.
completely lifeless.
Pog. No music. I could put Skrillex in the background
After
and no
exiting
one
to
would
show us the
care.
outdoors, we learn that at a fundamental level, Petscop has changed from a happy-go-lucky collectathon to something shrouded in secrecy, visually represented by a seemingly infinite, dreary, and barren plain of grass.
So there's nothing out here, as far as I've seen. But actually, I think there is something out here. I just haven't seen it yet. Because it sure seems like, in this note here, it sure seems like, right, I'm supposed to come out here and look at something. I haven't found anything yet, but I'm thinking if I just keep walking around here, I'm going to find something eventually.
Oh.
Hey, so I was talking about how I couldn't find anything out here. Well, I just found this. And, last time I came out here, I was walking around in this space here for over an hour.
Bro,
And this time I find this
bored.
in less than 15 minutes. So
I'd be so bored.
this is just luck that I happen to find this. And I think if I were to restart my console right now, I would not be able to find this again. Probably, because I don't remember what I did. You know, all the directions that I went. So I'm kind of scared to, you know, I want to keep the console on until I figure this out. The situation is that I cannot open this door. I probably can open the door, but I don't know what to do. So I thought I would just slip this in at the end. If you think you saw something that might provide a clue.
Yeah, glasses are crazy, dude.
Let me know. Alright.
I just came to the I just thought of this. I don't need glasses. People need glasses. That's like a weird technology.
I have always loved the ending of Petscop 1 because this door effectively serves as the point of no return. It's Thanos' Q-ship in Infinity War, the door to Xemnas in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh my god, I got both of them.
If Paul enters this door,
I got both of those references.
He ain't coming home for a while. This dead end almost seems like it's doing whatever it can to force him to stop playing. It's a metaphorical last chance, leaving Paul with a monumental decision. He can take the blue pill, shutting the game off, stashing it away, and living his life as it was before. Or he can take the red pill and staunchly wait by this door to see just how deep Petscop,
Dude, we're not even 10 minutes in.
truly goes.
We gotta watch the sponsor. I have sponsor skip on, yes, but like
All right. We got a long journey ahead of us tonight.
I
but
pay
before we
for
begin, I'd like to tell you
YouTube
guys about
Premium.
today's video sponsor.
I mean, it's a technology. It's a Gilgamesh technology that I am willing to
Every day,
use.
New YouTube channels being hijacked and converted to shilling some cryptocurrency. The
Yeah.
possibility of my channel being taken from me like this horrifies me, which is why I trust Guardio to keep me safe. Guardio is a universal browser extension and mobile app that bridges the gap between new malicious scams and traditional antivirus software by safeguarding your internet activity as you use it. Once installed, Guardio immediately goes to work scanning your browser for existing threats and offering solutions to malicious extensions, alerts on information leaks, and any security gaps you might have online. On top of that, it actively safeguards you from visiting any scam links, no matter if you found it on Google or clicked it in an email. No matter what, Guardio has your back and actively works to fix any security issues you've had in the past and to protect you for the future. You can scan your browser threats for free by visiting guard.io/Nexpo and installing their extension. With this, you'll get a 7-day free trial to their premium features, which includes real-time threat removal. So if you want a clean and secure browsing experience, again, go to guard.io/Nexpo or click the link in the description to check out their affordable premium plan for full protection for your internet browsing. Thank you so much again to Guardio. Now, let's go down the rabbit hole.
Yippee! The video in question. Let's go. Welcome to Petscop, episodes 1 through 10. Wait. Okay. Welcome to Pets checkpoint. It's home sweet home. 2 hours, fucking 30 minutes. Goddamn, dude, go slide ball. Dude, this is actually a movie. I'm watching like. This is a movie. Is it not? I swear.
Hey, so,
The door
the
opened.
door opened on its own.
Yeah, Paul.
I was just in the other room for a couple of minutes, and I came back and the door was open, and I checked the recording, because I was recording, and the door just opens on its own. I didn't do anything.
That's so strange, Paul.
Petscop 2 picks up directly where 1 left off. As we could see, the trapdoor had opened by itself, and as I'm sure we'd all do, Paul went inside. From here, we're introduced to a dimly lit and sprawling underground labyrinth full of corridors, living quarters, and even roads with active traffic. Upon poking around for a bit, Paul begins collecting the bits on the ground before he hears something beckoning in the distance.
Phone?
Oh no. Phone alert. Care left the room.
What is this?
And so we're introduced to our first major
What
character
is this?
aside from Paul. Someone denoted in yellow
chat.
named Care, who, quote, left the room. Furthermore, we can see a bizarre flyer denoting a little girl in 3 emotional states. A being content, B appearing disheveled, and NLM appearing to cry into their hands. So we're not running around in circles later, just know that both Care and this little girl are the same person. Which, of course, answers one unknown, yet begs a question.
I'm still drawing
What do
my
these
hair.
emotional states mean? And why are they here? From here, Paul begins poking around some corridors. In his venture, he encounters 3 portraits, with the first showing a greenhouse, the second a windmill, and the third a school, in which a foreboding sound echoes upon examination.
Echo. Oh. Hey man, the sound design is crazy for an
Paul makes his way
unfinished
to a
part of the
yard
game.
harboring a shed and a grave, and it's here where he discovers the resting place of a kid named Michael Hammond. Upon reading his gravestone, we discover that he died at the age of 7 and was purportedly a gift. At this point in time, we have absolutely not a shred of a clue who this kid even is or what his relation to anyone in the series is. But what does catch my eye is the fact that on his gravestone is a face, and sitting on top of it appears to be a gift box, falling in line with the quote and themes we've seen within Petscop so far.
You think my phone's still alive? Oh my god, my phone's still alive.
Upon entering the shed, Paul encounters a large daisy. He begins plucking the petals before stopping near the last one due to last-second apprehension. He heads out and into the other door, and surprisingly, encounters the girl from the flyer, Care NLM, standing on a plateau with a stem protruding
Oh my
from her
god,
head.
they're crying, guys. Get her Xbox Live. Give her a blunt. Yeah, you gotta do something,
And
man.
with nothing to interact with in this room,
I can't
Paul returns to
deal
the
with this
flower to
alone.
pluck the remaining petals.
I'd go back to NLM, right? Because it's 3. She only has 3 emotions. What the fuck? I don't remember this. My face when I don't get my
Whatever
snacks.
he did caused Care NLM to become a distorted mess. The room glows red, and she sits on the floor, twitching in agony. The red marks where her eyes otherwise would be make her appear almost
Stop
dead.
looking at
And
top
given
left,
the context that we'll touch
man.
on momentarily, I wouldn't be surprised if, in this state, she is.
Damn, it's revving up. Le computer.
A few moments later, Paul encounters an obscure red object that he's able to interact with in the form of questions. He asks
That's the
it,
pinwheel.
"What?" To which it responds, "I don't know." Curiously, behind it sits a screen displaying a windmill.
Oh,
Strangely, as Paul's observing it, the ominous sound from earlier plays once again.
Oh.
that's so sick.
Alright, so it's been like 2 minutes. And when those sounds were playing, there was nothing happening as far as I could tell, and nothing has happened since. So I'm just gonna keep going. There's already been stuff that I could dig a little deeper into, and I'm gonna do that and keep you updated. But also, when you come home next month, and hopefully you're feeling a little more enthusiastic about that now.
A little
We can investigate
enthusiastic
this
about
together.
coming home.
And maybe you'll find stuff that I can't find here.
Wait, what did Google recommend?
So here it becomes clear that Paul isn't making these videos for us on YouTube. He's creating them for someone he knows. Someone he either lives or lived with at some point prior. We currently do not know who this is, so let's keep this context in the back of our mind moving forward. Towards the video's end, Paul finds a room called the Quitter's Room. Strangely, it's mirrored, and on the other side, the true side, is an eerie and crudely drawn face juxtaposed upon the body of our player character. Clearly, this face is out of place, which leaves us to wonder what their role is within Petscop, why they're on the unreflected side of the room, and most importantly, why they do this.
What the fuck? Wait a second.
Oh, what a
What was
silly
that just
guy.
now?
Somehow, this girl exhibits movement on her own before correcting herself a few moments later. It seemed to be caused by the same jingle that played at the beginning of this episode, establishing a strange feeling of sentience within this game. It seems to me that Petscop is toying with Paul in a way, yet at this point, we don't know what exactly its motives are.
Because I made the game.
Towards the video's end,
This is
Paul discovers
my
a note on the
torture
wall.
for Paul.
Do you
I didn't
remember
make
being born? Before
know.
poking around some more and leaving. He then heads out and upstairs into the grassy area and ultimately brings Petscop 2 to a close. So within Petscop 2, we were introduced to Care, a girl exhibiting multiple states of emotion, who left the room and became heavily distorted after plucking the daisy inside the shed. A kid named Michael Hammond is introduced, yet we get no further context about him, aside from the fact that he died at 7 years old and was a gift. Furthermore, we learn that Paul is making these videos for a specific person, displaying
feel that.
knowledge that he knows his videos are being watched in some capacity. When exploring the hallways, we encountered 3 portraits: a house, a windmill, and a school, which all seem to bear significance that we'll need to look out for. And lastly, we learned that the jingle from the beginning of the video was not just a one-off, as when it played inside the Quitter's room, the girl within it began to exhibit a mind of her own. So why did this happen? Why did that wall note ask about being born? Who even is Care? And who is Paul recording these for? It's clear that there's still a ton to learn about Petscop, as it's already a far cry from what was advertised in Petscop 1. And given everything going on, it seems like Paul might be in for a bit more than he bargained for.
Petscop 3.
Alright, so now we're gonna look at what's over here, which I forgot about this. So I'll look at this now. Interesting.
What does it say?
Good grief and alas. The phrase on the back wall. And also a quote from a story.
Daisy Head Maisie. I mean,
Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Maisie. Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Maisie. Daisy Head.
Children, be quiet. Good grief and alas. To think this is happening right here in my class.
Whoa, this looks familiar. The plot of Daisy Head Maisie involves a little girl who suddenly grows a daisy out of her head. Almost immediately, everyone in her school, her family, and her town freak out, causing her to become a spectacle as everyone tries their hand at removing it. Because of this, she runs away, eventually finding the Cat in the Hat, who pleads for her to go back home. Maisie, however, retorts with an interesting claim. I can never go home. Nobody loves me. Nobody loves me.
what?
It's almost certain that the events happening with Care are alluding to the plot of Daisy Head Maisie. Towards
Dude,
the story's end,
wait, couldn't I
Maisie plucks
use
the
like?
flower petals, alternating between they love me and they love me not.
Couldn't you use the
The last one she
Daisy
picked,
as like
though,
a actual
was they love
world
me,
like
And so she heads
dominating
back home
weapon?
and all is well. On the contrary, it seems that with Care, the flower ended on they love me not, effectively affirming her emotional state, being Care, nobody loves me. Perhaps this glitch is a representation of her sense of self. Maybe she's breaking down in tears. Maybe she's dead.
That's a big flower
Whatever it
though.
means, it's clear that it isn't good.
I don't
leaving
think
us
I
wondering
fucks with
who
that.
Exactly her character represents, if anyone, and what the hell happened to her.
I think I have to put something there.
Yeah.
Paul stumbles upon a room with a canvas called the Child Library. Upon interacting with it, it asks him to construct a face using several preset facial features. And after trying one out, the room begins to rumble before the back exit becomes available. As it turns out, custom bedrooms are rendered based upon your input, and everything from the room color to the carpets and even the items on the table can vary.
Wow, there's a Game Boy.
Upon recalling the faces from Mike's grave and the shed, Paul tries his hand at both of them, revealing an interesting discovery with the latter.
Care is missing. You may visit her room. Clap. Clap.
Here's the other room.
On the table of Care's room is the red object Paul questioned in Petscop 2 and some crayons. The carpet displays a paint roller and a daisy, and on the back wall is a note. Your wife says Care isn't growing eyebrows. You say, that's a puzzle. You're secretly very excited to hear this news. You're in the bathtub thinking about her. I have a guess at which child you'll pick next. When you find her room, the passage to my right will lead to her. She'll appear from the darkness, limping, and I'll shoot her in the head.
What?
Tiara says young people can be psychologically damaged beyond rebirthing. A young person walks into your school. They walk in with you. You're holding their hands. They come out crying into their hands because nobody will love them. Not ever again. Nobody loves me. They wander the New Maker plane. Alright, so within this was a ton of information. To start, we learned that Care's parents are represented by the colors blue and green, and another person named Tiara enters the mix, represented by the color purple.
I just
Interestingly, she mentions both
equipped the
psychological
earbuds
damage and rebirthing,
and,
leaving us to wonder if
turned
this
on
has
the
to do with
Gilgamesh
Care and
technology.
various emotional states. We know that Care's been undergoing some sort of psychological torment, supported by both the connection to Daisy Head Maisie and the claim that she isn't growing eyebrows. To be honest, it almost seems like she isn't growing them because she isn't allowing them to. She's picking at them, which begs yet another question. Why is the father excited to hear that? What exactly is the family dynamic between them? At the end, we learn that Care NLM is wandering something called the New Maker plane. Why it's called this is currently unclear. However, it is an interesting reference.
That's a reference to what? The New Maker plane? Oh, is this
In
like?
April of 2000.
Oh, okay.
Another
I've heard of
named
this
Candace
from
Tiara
Pyro.
Elmore was undergoing attachment therapy with the goal to metaphorically rebirth her under the name Candace Elizabeth Newmaker. For over a week, Newmaker would undergo intensive physical and psychological abuse at the hands of her adoptive parents and unlicensed therapists, Connell Watkins and Julie Ponder.
Yeah, and I killed
During
both
the
of them
second week,
in real
For
life.
70 minutes, the four adults had wrapped her in a flannel sheet and covered her with pillows to simulate
In-game.
the birth canal, and she was tasked with escaping on her own volition. 11 times, Newmaker shouted that she was dying, and that she couldn't do it. But the adults did not care. Go
Imagine.
ahead, die right now, for real. Ponder claimed as the group maintained their combined 673 pounds of weight upon her. All she could force herself to mutter was no, which would also be the last word that Candace Newmaker would ever speak.
Wait, so okay,
40 minutes in,
I don't get it.
Ponder repeated,
These guys just fucking.
quitter, she's a quitter. As Candace Newmaker's life faded from beneath her.
What?
She did not survive.
Yeah, like, I don't know why adults think that that's a good idea. Remember being born.
The connections between this murder and Petscop are clear. However, in the years following Petscop's release, its creator has come forth to state that this game was not meant to be about her, but the themes surrounding the atrocities of child abuse. Petscop is its
Remember
own
being
story,
born?
but while it
Remember
references
getting
outside events
squished
in
by
media,
4 fat
taking place within
motherfuckers?
This game
Dude.
is self-contained. Something is going on.
Actual
within this
diva
family,
squish.
and Care
Feels bad, man. Love her.
is right at the heart of
Rest
it.
in peace.
In Petscop 4, Paul maps out the New Maker plane with his knowledge of the labyrinth underneath it. After tracing his steps to where the windmill screen would be underground, he encounters the camera that's feeding it. He heads north to where the windmill should be. However, all that greets him is a floating platform. The windmill is gone and can somehow only be seen under the New Maker plane. In Petscop 5, Paul's underground and asks the red object a series of questions. who is Tiara? To which it responds, Petscop kid very smart. Who am I? With the response, new maker. And where am I? To which it states, under the new maker plane. Oddly, right after this question, it turns pink.
So is this like technically like
so he asks,
the realm between life
are
and
you?
death? Is like new
Weirdly,
maker
it takes this object 20
passed
seconds
away?
to respond before it demands that he turn
Or
off
like
the
this is
PlayStation.
like past
And after
death?
asking why, it
This is
states,
post death?
Marvin picks up tool, hurts me when PlayStation on. A few moments later, the object returns to the color red. Paul inquires on who it is once more, to which it simply states, tool.
Tool. Very helpful tool.
Yet again, we encounter another instance where Petscop seems to take a mind of its own. Something happened causing Tool to turn pink, and it's starting to seem like this game can switch from being autonomous to manually controlled in the blink of an eye. Also, who this Marvin person is unclear. However, given the context Tool provided about him, it really doesn't appear that his intentions are very good.
Yeah. I don't fucks with Marvin either. Eat.
Outside of the Petscop game,
Okay.
are curiosities hidden within the video descriptions. Within this one, we can observe a myriad of questions that prompted the default response of I don't know. And towards the end of it, we find a peculiar claim. When the color changed, we were able to ask two questions. Not I.
We.
This entire time,
Bro has
we've
a
assumed that Paul's been
collection of
one-man show.
production
The only
team.
reference we got to any other person was on the phone call from Petscop 2, and it seemed at the time that they weren't even around, which effectively leaves us with
I
a
enjoy.
glaring question.
Thank you, Ava Rose.
If Paul isn't the one running this channel, who is?
Petscop 6.
Petscop 6 opens showing the windmill. The ominous sound rings twice, and 2 hours and 39 minutes later,
Is
a
this
dark
still
figure
have ice in it?
emerges from the background. They approach the windmill,
It's still cold
somehow
though.
reverse its direction, and
Not
cause
that
a low
cold.
rumble to fill the air. They then approach and maneuver the camera, before spelling out a series of statements.
Is
Where's
this
my
not
house?
controlled?
Where is the school? And I will follow. During this, we can observe the greenhouse, the school, various objects, and even Tonith spawn in before this person returns the camera to its default position. And once again, time passes. The
Huh?
windmill
Okay.
disappears.
That was super. That looks super fake though. Like,
That's kind of fun, actually. Going through a 4-hour video and noticing that on one half of the video, the windmill's going one direction, and in the other half, it's going in the other direction. And pinpointing where the change occurred, and the fuck is this?
home.
That's neat.
After returning to the new maker plane, Paul discovers the camera is now red, and behind it sits the message from the Shadow Man. Eerily, Tonith just stands there, menacingly. And so, Paul takes it upon himself to catch them.
Menacingly.
Well, this is still here. Oh my god.
Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. At this point, it's bizarre to hear that jingle. Given the overarching landscape of Petscop as we know it now, it's clear that Paul's in too deep to turn back, being lured deeper and deeper into the game's grasp by his own undying curiosity. Catching Tonith is a reminder, a memento of the once upbeat game he was sold on, and it also mirrors the dynamics of Paul's life before he ever booted it up. Given that he found Petscop at his house, it implies that the relationship between he and his family will change. At this point, the cat's out of the bag. Why was Petscop in his home?
You know why. The boys at Garlina know what they're doing.
After catching Tonith, Paul opens the pet compendium to read more about them. Yet, instead of a normal description, we observe that it's unfinished, with mere placeholder text where it should be.
What?
Yet, as Paul advances, he realizes that there's more to it. Reading.
A bird.
I forgot what birds look like. Funny stupid blob monster, says Mike. Yeah, that's what it is. Painter. Painting puzzle. Catch Randus first? Had broken leg for some reason. I already hung him on a wall, too late to take it back. It makes me think about the dog, actually, because when the car hit him, I thought, at least it'll be over soon.
He
What?
survived, and I was the only one who still wanted to put him down. A dog is an innocent.
When that dog wags its tail and appears happy, it's not real. I guess
not
that's
real.
Tonith then. Alright, so as we've seen before, Petscop is absolutely chock full of non sequiturs. The descriptions of the notes and pets seem to jump from one logical thought to something completely out of left field, and it's especially evident here. The first two lines are clearly linked to Michael Hammond. At some point, it's plausible that he gave some childlike input to whoever was developing this game. Right after the mention of his name, it jumps to what appear to be traits and requirements to catch Tonith in what would be his room and even care. For some reason, though, it seems that when writing these notes up, the dev's mind began to wander, reminding them of their dog who was hit by a car and had to be put down. It clearly bothers them. Well, at least until the very last page, when they accept what Tonith will always symbolize to them. As Paul explores the compendium a bit more, he encounters a new page of catchable pets, clearly being slots for Care A, B, and NLM. Now, while the fourth one is still unknown, what this ultimately drives home is the fact that Paul can catch Care. He just has to find her. Later on, Paul returns to Tool and presents it two questions. Where's my house? To which it replies, you'll never go home. And where's the school? With the response, you can't go back in time. Unsure of what exactly this means, Paul heads back to the yard, finally expressing concern that Petscop might be more than it's letting on.
I thought he would figure that out like immediately after like launching and going into like the new maker plan.
This game is trying very hard to make it seem like
like there's an entity.
like there's an entity in it.
Yeah.
Like a ghost or an AI trying to communicate with me. It's interesting, but you know, the way you know that there's a ghost in a game trying to communicate with you is if it comes out, if it stops being distant and it comes out and you can have a, you know, a real-time back and forth with it.
Paul then explains how the tool wasn't properly answering his questions and how he made a new file to test out the game's continuity. As it turned out, in his new file, things were in completely different places. Events happened at different times, and purportedly, he even made it to the correct side of the quitter's room.
Looking forward to what I might see next. It's very interesting, this game, because you can walk around and something will just happen, you know? Because I created a new file, and I tried to be scientific about it. I went and did all the same things that I did this time, and the same things did not happen. None of the things happened. None of the oddities occurred. Like the thing in the mirror room, for example. So there's a bit of randomness in it, and it's interesting how it doesn't seem to really care if you see everything, I guess. Yeah, so it's interesting.
It's at this point when Paul is finally undergoing a change in heart.
Wow. I'll be done with this shit so fast.
The game's mechanics, the bizarre changes at the drop of a hat, the visual distortions, the cryptic responses from Tool, things taking a mind of their own, and the questions constructed by a character that seems to have its own intentions are finally compounding into less of a game and more of what seems like an entity. Paul is finally realizing what we as a viewer already have, that Petscop isn't and has never been the gift plane, because the vast majority of the development effort has been focused on everything taking place in and around the new maker plane. Looking back on Paul as a character, he is a person ravaged by curiosity. He picks up every collectible, examines every single object, and progresses through the Petscop rabbit hole, led by his own suspicion. This game is feeding him with mystery, stringing him along like a pet tracking down a bone. It's playing him. But he just can't let it go.
Yippee.
Petscop 7 opens in the quitter's
Oh my
room.
god.
Paul
I know
stands in
my
the corner
reaction
while he
was
shuffles
delayed
through some
there, but like
pages that
that
more than likely means he's
genuinely
taken the longest
scared
journey.
me.
While he's doing so, though,
I was
a tune
vibing,
plays from
bro.
the other side of the room, to Paul's surprise.
I can feel scared, vulnerable.
Something's happening. Oh, hi there.
Dude, I love the flare.
Immediately after this
On
song
here.
finishes, the girl pops in
Oh, hi
and
there.
follows Paul as she did before. Given the timing, it almost seems like she was the reason it was playing in the first place. If this were the case, it wouldn't be the only instance of audible cues synchronizing with anomalous events within Petscop, as we've seen this happen with both the Shadow Man and Jingle from previous episodes. Moving on, Paul returns to the sign on the wall and notices an interesting change. It demands for him to come here, with the handwriting and color matching what we saw from Pink Tool in Petscop 4. And upon returning to it, Paul encounters a message waiting for him. I love you, new maker. Please show Marvin where his house is. This clearly alludes to the Shadow Man's question from earlier, and also establishes the fact that his name is Marvin. In response, Paul asks, "Who are you?" To which Tool responds, "Go there and he'll follow you. His daughter's there." And lastly, he asks the question,
That's so like
"Remember being
schizophrenic,
born?"
isn't it?
To which
like
it replies with,
This tool?
"Also wants 1,000 pieces for machine beyond school basement stairway." Interesting.
fucking game. 1,000 pieces.
So, Marvin, a person who, in previous episodes, was hinted at possessing negative intentions. Someone who, quote, picks up tool, hurts me when PlayStation on. Someone who is looking for their house, is looking for a school, and who has a daughter.
Man, fuck
I'm sure
Marvin.
you can see the parallels between he and who we assumed to be Kare's father from earlier. This was the man that was excited to hear the news of her picking at her eyebrows. The man who was thinking about her in the bathtub. And the one
What?
man in the very same note that later references a
Ain't
school.
that like weird though?
Now, I'm not
like-
definitively saying that Marvin is Kare's father. However, the evidence is clear. The only connection we need to really drive this home
It
is
better-
a link between
I
Marvin
hope to
and
God.
McCullough Green. If we establish that, we can then
That's
learn
her
a bit
father.
more about Kare's home life to seriously begin dissecting Petscop's underlying story.
Well, there you go. Child library accepts people.
Paul returns to the child library and interacts with what appears to be a Dropbox. He opens the compendium to select a pet. However, the game claims that the child library, quote, only accepts people.
Yeah.
For a game centered around pets, I do find this strange, and even more so that the only human we've seen in the entire game is conveniently the only non-pet that we can catch. To our knowledge, we can't catch Marvin and we can't catch the Quitter, which means that this shaft is only meant for one person.
Yeah. It's for her.
Paul recalls the prevalence of eyebrows within Petscop and inputs Mike's face without any. Upon entering the generated room, we observe a road, stars, and a gift box on the carpet with the car and Rubik's Cube on the table. To be honest, nothing here really stood out to Paul. But that's okay, because he had a better idea. He enters Kare's face, but with eyebrows. Specifically, Mike's.
This one is Care with eyebrows.
I'd be all over this.
This time, the room's carpet contained gears, sabers, and dots, and on the table is an interesting find.
It's censored.
So this is Care with eyebrows. I put Mike's eyebrows on her. I could have put other eyebrows on her, but I didn't. I put Mike's on her. I don't know if this... I can't tell. I
What?
can't tell if it recognized it or not.
What?
Because everything looks... like
Maybe
any
he's
other
like,
room.
he's bugging us. Yeah?
What's this here? Except it puts this. I don't know, maybe that's just something that it puts in any room.
Barring the fact that the item on the right is censored, we'll come back to that. Whatever it was unnerved Paul so much that he's left second guessing if the
All right, so I'm back here again. I'm actually editing the video. Not really editing. I I actually had to splice it because I passed out in the middle of watching this on stream. So I'm gonna get back to watching the rest of this in this one sitting, cause I just woke up. So let's get back into it.
It demands for him to come here with the handwriting and color matching what we saw from Pink Tool in Petscop 4. And upon returning to it, Paul encounters a message waiting for him. I love you, new maker. Please show Marvin where his house is. This clearly alludes to the Shadow Man's question from earlier, and also establishes the fact that his name
Is Marvin.
is Marvin. In
The
response,
fact that the tool
Paul
thinks that
asks,
your name
"Who are you?"
is
To which Tool
something
responds,
else. Do maker.
"Go there and he'll follow you. His daughter's there." And lastly, he asks the question, "Remember being born?" To which it replies with, "Also wants 1,000 pieces for machine beyond school basement stairway." Interesting. So, Marvin, a person who, in previous episodes, was hinted at possessing negative intentions. Someone who, quote, picks up tool, hurts me when PlayStation on. Someone who is looking for their house, is looking for a school, and who has a daughter. I'm sure you can see the parallels between he and who we assumed to be Kare's father from earlier. This was the man that was excited to hear the news of her picking at her eyebrows. The man who was thinking about her in the bathtub.
Oh yeah, I
One
remember
man
this.
in the very same note that later references a school. Now, I'm not definitively saying that Marvin is Kare's father. However, the evidence is clear. The only connection we need to really drive this home is the link between Marvin and the color green. If we establish that, we can then learn a bit more about Kare's home life to seriously begin dissecting Petscop's underlying story.
Wait, what?
Well, there you go. Child library accepts people.
Paul returns to the child library and interacts with what appears to be a Dropbox. He opens the compendium to select a pet. However, the game claims that the child library, quote, only accepts people. For a game centered around pets, I do find this strange, and even more so that the only human we've seen in the entire game is conveniently the only non-pet that we can catch. To our knowledge, we can't catch Marvin, and we can't catch the Quitter, which means that this shaft is only meant for one person.
For Care. I think I said that last time as well. He puts in like same stuff.
Paul
as...
recalls the prevalence of eyebrows within Petscop and inputs Mike's face without any. Upon entering the generated room, we observe a road, stars, and a gift box on the carpet with the car and Rubik's Cube on the table. To be honest, nothing here really stood out to Paul. But that's okay, because he had a better idea. He enters Kare's face, but with eyebrows. Specifically, Mike's.
This one is Care with eyebrows.
This time, the room's carpet contained gears, sabers, and dots.
Wait.
And on the table is an interesting find.
So this is Care with eyebrows. I put Mike's eyebrows on her. I could have put other eyebrows on her, but I didn't. I put Mike's on her. I don't know if this... I can't tell. I can't tell if it recognized it or not. Because everything looks like any other room. Except it puts this here. Except it puts this. I don't know, maybe that's just something that it puts in any room.
Barring the fact that the item on the right is censored, we'll come back to that. Whatever it was unnerved Paul so much that he's left second guessing if the game placed that item there intentionally, or if this was completely random. He states over and over that he could have generated any room using any eyebrows, but he put mics. Effectively, he's trying the best he can to rationalize why something so jarring could be rendered in a game like this, attempting to explain it away as mere chance. Regardless of what he thinks though, the blocks to our left tell us as a viewer all we need to know.
Care.
Because they spell out care.
I can't even read
This
that.
room was entirely intentional. And given that censor, Paul has uncovered something that he more than likely was not supposed to. And towards the video's end, this idea is cemented further.
Okay. Da, 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 da. They got some banger baller music in
We've had to cover something with the black
game.
box. Right now, we can't say why. Some other things we're expecting to censor in the future. A big present with a sticker on it. Something on a wall in a black house. Written on a chalkboard.
I got a notification from this application that I randomly downloaded. It's some sort of like crime detecting
it's
app.
safe to assume that Paul
that,
is
like,
not in control of the Petscop YouTube channel.
You're,
The gameplay,
you're able
yes,
to like
the
see your
channel,
crime,
no.
like the crime
Whoever
heat
they
map
are,
around you,
know
and
the
like
content
just
of Paul's
crimes around
gameplay
you
to
in
come,
general.
leading us to theorize that he
I just thought it was a
pre-recorded
funny
all of this for these
download,
people,
but like
or
they're
that this
notifying
group
me
is
about like
behind
some
the Petscop
guy
game and know of the exact spots to censor once he gets there.
that got loose.
No matter what it is though, we're left to wonder why Paul's experience is being shared with the world like this. In prior episodes, he's had conversations with family members and presumably close friends. So why share something so intimate? With this knowledge, I can't help but call into question the well-being of Paul as a person. What we assumed was a real-time set of recordings for a close friend has morphed into something ominous and cryptic. And given the mental toll Petscop has already taken on him, I'm honestly not very optimistic on how he's doing now.
He's broken. Chat, fix him. Yup, Petscop 8. Yeah. Damn. Dude, I'm surprised that I passed out in the middle of watching this. Yeah, this was like one of the last things I remember seeing was this fucking car.
Petscop 8 opens with Paul shitting around on the road. He notices that once he leaves it, a car flies
Shitting
by,
around on the road?
and so
You mean
he
like
just stands on it.
Yeah, car.
And a few moments later,
And a few moments later.
What?
I also remember this.
fucking bingo. Marvin is green. Marvin is Care's father. Every connection so far, every hint in that note, from Tool and from what Marvin's trying to find, lines up. So let's see what he wants.
What?
Okay.
Unsurprisingly, Marvin leads us to that picture of the school, something we know he's trying to find. Following this, he takes us to the photo of his house before heading off and running into a wall. Initially, Paul laughs it off. However, towards the episode's end, he postulates that there may have previously been a path where Marvin took off.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's not here now. There's not even a passageway or anything. Can you remember when you saw this? Well, it could have changed between then and 2004. After 2004, my mom had it reportedly.
His
Well,
mommy
okay.
played a video game.
Thanks.
Mom's a gamer.
After 2004, my mom had it. Given Paul's prior confusion about this game, it's safe to assume that he's referring to it on the phone. This implies that the one and only copy of the Petscop game has been in his family's possession since it was developed in 1997.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind that the original premise of this channel was for Paul to prove to someone that he's not lying about this game that he found, it leads us to assume that Paul may have been meant to find this, because why would his mother have it in the first place? With the context,
I don't know,
from
man.
Petscop
People
7's
keep a lot of
cliffhanger,
random
that
stuff.
idea bears more and
Like,
more weight the longer I think about it. In some
I used
capacity,
to
his
collect like
actions are being
rocks,
watched.
and I still
And
have
while
those
we're unsure
rocks.
of exactly
They're
why,
still
it's
like
crystal clear
in my
that
house.
Paul has lost control of the very thing he simply set
But I
out
mean,
to
some of them
explore.
are cool. Like some of them are geodes, but like others are just rocks.
Paul isn't playing
know?
Petscop anymore.
Hmm. Paul isn't playing Petscop anymore? Is that where it ends for Paul?
Petscop 9 begins at the title screen. Given the silence, it implies that the console has been left unattended. A few moments later, we can observe a loading screen before a Petscop demo begins to play. Interestingly, this takes place at even care. However, various doors, rooms, and even the music are completely different from how it was when Paul first experienced it. One of the most interesting bits of gameplay comes from the treadmill room. As we can recall, Paul had used this to catch a pet. However, here, that pet is non-existent. Nevertheless, the player still jumps upon the treadmill to lower the number from 16 to 3 before stopping for a very noticeable amount of time.
Ah.
Throughout the years, it's been
Gamer.
found that this treadmill
passed
segment
out just like me.
synchronizes perfectly with something we've seen before.
Okay.
Wow, people remember this?
This synchronicity implies that there's some sort of recording mechanic going on within Petscop, and could explain why Marvin kept running into a wall during the last episode. With this in mind, it's implied that Petscop carries its own dichotomy: live player input and past player recordings, both of which can interact at either different times or within different versions of the Petscop world. More on that later. Later, we see Paul messing around in the yard.
Yup.
He heads in to check on Distorted Care before poking around the entrance to that basement. To his surprise, though, he glitches through the shed wall to become the Shadow Man referenced in his note, and follows up on this by heading to where the windmill should be.
Are you kidding me?
It's clear that Paul is confused, because he is now what he perceived Marvin to be. He's an enigma, a shadow, a featureless creature that symbolizes the very thing Petscop is trying so hard to be.
He is Marvin.
Upon heading inside the windmill, Paul encounters a sign with another face and a figure of a little girl perched atop a contraption. To his right is Tool, and after interacting with it, it gives him 50 bits.
Alright.
After heading back and inputting the newly discovered face into the child library, Paul receives the following prompt. You found her. Before he finds a room
Who's her?
with both a note on the back wall and another version of the player character in the background. Interestingly, we'll soon find that this other player mimics the exact movements Paul makes later in this video. Now, this could either be a massive coincidence, or somehow Petscop as a game has an ability to predict his movements. This, in a way, falls in line with the censor message from earlier, as they too claim to know of certain events that hadn't even happened yet.
I guess I've been playing so
Upon
many.
interacting with the table, Paul
many
observes a
times.
red tool in the windmill, and after examining the note on the back wall, he finds that it reads the following. You must have guessed, but I was looking through your things. I found that picture of you from 1977, standing in front of an old windmill with your friend. You went there, and it was a bad idea. Your friend and the windmill both disappeared into thin air. Her sister was holding the camera. She took another picture minutes later. Just you, no windmill, and no friend. You married her sister, and years later, your friend was reborn as your daughter.
What?
Your wife won't admit this is true, but I know it because I found the evidence.
I
Your
found
friend
the
never
evidence.
returned with you, and the windmill was gone. I went to see it myself. Where
This is
is
some
it?
real like
What did you do?
conspiracy theory stuff.
Rainer, Newmaker. Alright, so we have a second mention of the phrase your wife. The first referencing Care, who wasn't growing eyebrows, and now referencing how she won't admit this windmill situation is true. So, backing up, we have a strange situation involving who I'm assuming to be Marvin and two sisters, his future wife and his friend, who all went to an old windmill in 1977. At some point, both his friend and the windmill vanished. He later married his friend's sister, and somehow his vanished friend was reborn as their daughter. Keeping in mind our prior connection about Care being Marvin's daughter, it leaves us to wonder what her overall role is in this situation. Going by this note and the prior references to being born, it seems that Care might be the result of this supposed rebirthing.
Yeah.
That is, if we take this literally and assume that every single thing Rainer's saying here is true. And that's the problem here. We've hardly met this person. We're unsure of what their motives are. We know that they have a very bizarre style of presenting thoughts. They bombastically claim that a fucking windmill vanished. And for all we know, could simply be running with a circumstantial assumption that Marvin's friend was
Oh,
reborn.
just ride the wave, bro.
No matter what, it seems that Rainer is hell-bent on believing that
Where's
Marvin
my
has done
house?
something
Bro,
unforgivable.
fucking go. House.
In a way, he's allegedly played a hand in killing off a little girl for his own benefit. Yet, given the references to Care's psychological torment, it's clear that even she has been the victim of him as well.
Yeah.
So what is going on? How the hell does a windmill just disappear? And who exactly is Rainer?
Rainer Newmaker. Clap.
Paul leaves through the back of this room, heads down a hallway, and into a party room with 2 gifts. When he opens the first gift, he obtains a green key, and upon opening the second, this happens.
Boom.
What the fuck?
Some sort of large rotating pyramid emerges to Paul's surprise, and no further context is given. A few moments later, Paul finds a secret exit leading to a tight corridor with a single gift box, and after interacting with it, it opens and draws the camera inside. Interestingly, as this happens, we can hear a choir sound before Paul regains control. As we can say, much of the game has changed, leading me to wonder if that sound had something to do with it. Much like the demo, new doors are open, we have different music, and small details are rearranged. Immediately, Paul heads to collect every bit he can before heading to the treadmill room. And while here, he discovers that he can actually break it by setting the value to -1. This causes the game to crash, and once it reboots, Paul heads back to the shed and realizes that distorted Care is now Care in LM. And so, he catches her.
Oh wow. Wait, what? So the treadmill and the flower were both connected to her? So fucking with the treadmill, like, technically just, like, changed her back to NLM.
Care in LM escaped from the school's basement and wandered the Newmaker plane for days. To catch her, you had to lie, but it may not be a lie forever. You're the Newmaker. You can turn Care in LM into Care A and close the loop. After this, Paul heads back to the child library to place Care in LM into the shaft. The game responds, "You've decided to leave Care in LM. If you change your mind within 6 months, you can take Care in LM back." What month is it anyway? What year is it? And following this, he recreates Care's room, heads inside, catches her again, and brings Petscop 9 to its end.
Okay. It's so strange.
So, Care in LM, someone who, at one point, was locked inside of a school basement, escaped, and wandered aimlessly for days. Given the end of her description, it implies that this may be the incorrect Care to catch. This is the bad ending, in a way. However, we apparently are the Newmaker, the one in charge, the one that can make change, and so we're tasked with closing this loop she's trapped
Let
in.
me open up the
Either
window
can A
because
or
it's so
B,
dark in
and
here.
unraveling the full context of her story. With the knowledge that Marvin's looking for a school, combined with the fact that Care at some point escaped from its basement, it's highly plausible that he had something to do with this.
The bad guy. Marvin's the reason why we don't have what we want. Oh boy, the glare off my monitor is killing me.
Petscop 10 begins with Paul poking around the altered version of Even Care, which from here on we'll just call On Care.
Okay.
He messes with the switches in Amber's room and manages to find a way to open both cages. A short while later, the game crashes, informing Paul that his save file now faces possible corruption. Nevertheless, he's still able to select it, placing us back into that small corridor from earlier. After interacting with that gift box, he re-enters On Care
Is there possible
and returns
corruption?
to Amber's room.
What's it called? Notifications for like other games? Is that normal? I don't think that's normal.
There you go.
There you go.
Now, while this discovery might seem innocuous, this actually serves as a sizable revelation about Petscop as a game.
Okay.
For those with a keen eye, you may have noticed that within the pause menu, it's a save function, and because the game crashed earlier, Paul wasn't able to. Regardless, the cages remained open, meaning that in some capacity, Petscop tracks your progress, even if you don't. This leaves us to wonder if the Petscop that Paul was presented with in the very first video was the base game as it was created, or a modified version based upon the actions of players that came before him. This could explain why
Might
when
be
Paul
modified.
mentioned how he created a new save, nothing was as it was when he first experienced it. In a way, Petscop is always changing. It's almost like this ever-evolving organism. Paul heads back to the quitter's room and finds that, finally, he's on the true side. After checking out the note on the wall, it reminds him of Tool, and so he returns to ask more questions. What month is it? And what year is it? He asks, both of which produce the same response, being a calendar. At the very end, though, Paul asks one last question. Where was the windmill?
Where was
And
the
prompts yet another censor.
window? They're being so mysterious with these.
Given the increase in their frequency,
I'm gonna
it's
kill
clear
him.
that Paul is onto something he shouldn't be. He's likely solving what those before him haven't, causing the channel owners to overcompensate by censoring things from the public eye. Petscop 10 was brief, yet stands as more of a bridge between Petscop's origins and where it's headed to next. After watching this series from start to finish, it's safe to say that we really haven't seen anything yet. The underlying story has hardly taken root, so don't touch that dial. You and I have got a long way to go.
This is the intermission break? Checkpoint. So this is probably going to be like recap of what's happened. Very relaxing.
Alright, so we are a little over a third of the way there, with a ton of story progression still to come.
I thought we were half.
Petscop is something that I have wanted to cover for years, but I've always held off due to how complex everything comes across as. My goal with this video is to explore this series in a way that is digestible, because there are so many moving parts happening off camera that it can get convoluted extremely fast. While we still have a long way to go, I'd like to take a moment and circle back on Arc 1 to recap on what we've been through so far.
Yeah. Wait, so there's an Arc 2? Oh, fuck, dude. We're gonna be here forever.
More than anything, Petscop is the story of Paul.
Yeah.
In May of 2017, Paul finds a video game within his home. And sometime between its discovery and his first gameplay, he has a conversation with a close friend about it, to which they doubt its existence. In response, Paul begins recording his own gameplay to prove to them that it's real, and what he finds is a cheery, Pokemon-like collectathon in which he's tasked with capturing pets and bringing them home.
This guy
After a short bit of
genuinely
gameplay,
plays the game,
Paul
though.
pulls out a note that came with Petscop and enters the code found on it.
Because he has, like, alt
fundamentally
accounts
changing
and stuff.
everything about how this game operates. What was once the bright and upbeat gift plane is now shrouded in darkness and silence. And so, Paul sets off to figure out what the hell he's done. Almost immediately, Paul is introduced to the major cornerstones of this series, being Care, the windmill, the school, and Marvin's house, all of which seem to be intertwined within one story about a little girl and windmill disappearing, being reborn, and somehow being held inside the school's basement. Scattered throughout Petscop are numerous characters. The Quitter, the Tool, the Windmill Girl, Michael, Marvin, Rainer, and various versions of Care. Petscop utilizes these characters to exhibit random bouts of sentience, filling Paul with awareness that the game is trying the hardest it can to appear on it. Nevertheless, this skepticism begins to morph into apprehension the longer he plays it, as the more he uncovers about the underlying story, the more he seems to recognize various objects that can't and shouldn't be in this game. Unfortunately, these objects are censored at the current time by the hand of a mysterious group that seems to have taken over the Petscop channel. Currently, their motives in the state of Paul are unclear, but somehow they bear knowledge of future events that haven't even happened yet. Petscop 2 carries a similar mechanic, as during Paul's gameplay, we can see it predict his movements, hinting at the possibility of a recording device baked within this game. Even further, Petscop tracks Paul's progress, regardless if he saves or not, and seems to change on a fundamental level whenever the sound of a choir is heard. There seems to be multiple versions of Petscop on the same disc, all of which are tracked and saved for every unsuspecting player to come. Across the grander scope of Petscop exist clear themes alluding to the atrocities of child abuse. Both the references to Daisyhead Maisie and Candace Newmaker make explicitly clear that Petscop is a story about psychological torment and potential death. The dynamic between Marvin, his wife, Care, and the vanished windmill girl are still vague. However, we have a rough idea that Marvin's done something unforgivable. His wife's sister completely disappeared and was somehow reborn, likely as Care. How the hell that's possible and what exactly it means is unclear at this point, but what we do know is that there's an ominous family dynamic at play here. Paul has become genuinely haunted by things he's witnessed, and it's almost starting to seem like he's connecting with the game in a way. With the theme of duality baked within the fabric of Petscop, with the gift and Newmaker plane, even an odd Care, the Quitter's room and its reflection, red and pink tool, and the windmill's existence and lack thereof, it genuinely wouldn't surprise me if Petscop was a parallel somehow. to Paul's real life. Now, while that remains to be seen, the ambiguous nature of Petscop leaves tons of additional questions unanswered. For starters, how does a windmill just vanish? What exactly does rebirthing mean within Petscop? What is causing the game to randomly take a mind of its own?
Okay.
Who's running the Petscop YouTube channel? Who exactly is Rainer? And most importantly, what the hell happened to Care? It's clear that Marvin's had a hand in something nefarious with her, but at this point, what that is vague at best. Petscop is a behemoth with so much left up to the imagination. The story being crafted here is elaborate and grim, drawing me in the same way the game did with Paul.
You think Toni
With
would be
that
my
said,
friend?
There's still a ton awaiting us. 14 and a half more episodes to be exact. So refill that mineral water and grab a couple string cheeses, because you
Couple?
and I,
Damn.
we're only getting started.
Yeah, that's true though. My earbuds not ran over. Damn. It's a long video though. I'm out of touch. I'm out of my.
Everything we wish to say is below. The purpose of this YouTube channel is to preserve and display the recordings within the video game Petscop while keeping some of their content private. They were first given to us as a Christmas gift many years ago. The game had an interesting journey before and after that day. Paul created some additional recordings in 2017 as a way to show Petscop gameplay to his friend. He created this account in order to upload those additional recordings in video format. He later passed ownership of the channel to us, but continued to record himself at our strong suggestion. Though he had issues with the arrangement, these have finally been settled. Please enjoy the recordings in Petscop. We do.
We do. Bro, so he got acquired or something? How does that even happen? Did he like sell the channel?
Signs along the way that I ignored because it would have been a completely ridiculous idea to me. But when I found my room, it made well, I was shocked at first, but it made sense, especially considering where I found the game in the first place.
Yeah, where'd you find it?
That would be tied in some way to me through you.
Do I remember this
think, when was the
correctly?
last
Is
time
like
I saw
Rainer
any of
like
you at all?
someone that he genuinely knows?
It had to have been like 1999. I was a kid. I was a small kid. Tiny kid.
Tiny kid.
Straight out of the gate, Petscop 11 opens with dialogue between Paul and his friend, providing important context about prior events. As it turns out, the room generated from Care's face with Mike's eyebrows may not have been Care's room after all. It was his.
Paul's
which explains why he
room.
was so unnerved when he encountered the first censor, yet opens an entirely new trove of questions as to why he's referenced in Petscop to begin with. A few moments later, Paul explains that he's following a map he made in hopes of finding some sort of secret. And to his surprise, he does.
Okay.
Wheel. A wild technology we got here.
He manipulates this tire like a padlock, and in return, it prompts him for a question.
Okay. So this one we wanna what do we wanna ask about the house? We wanna ask where is house?
After inquiring about the house, the tire begins to rapidly spin, implying that it may be in the direction it's pointing. And so, Paul sets off, finds a road, traverses down it, and discovers
A house.
a sign.
A sign house.
This is a frozen house, captured 3 times, exactly as it was. And behind it, a home. Marvin's home.
We just found the fucking house. Alright. Okay. This is interesting. Got people appearing and disappearing.
Chatter noise. That's kind of
Welcome to
spooky,
Christmas
mate.
at Marvin's
I'm not
house.
gonna lie.
Frozen as it was. Filling the air are the sounds of dishes clinking and people talking, and visually, we can observe numerous individuals in various states around the room. Immediately, Paul collects all the bits before he's greeted by 2 dialogue boxes from Marvin's wife, reading. Where have you been? Why were you gone for such a long time? Is this a present? Who is it for?
Me.
Soon after this,
It's a
Paul
new
discovers
Xbox.
2 calendars on the wall. One being green for the year 1997, and the other, gray for the year 2000. He checks out the former and realizes that various dates are highlighted in that color, which at first confuses him. Upon discussing it with his friend, though, he realizes something.
We got this green here. Starts off like a checkerboard, then whatever this is, and then weekends. Then it's
I'm
green every
hungry.
day.
I didn't.
Oh,
I wasn't expecting like working out and running to be like
okay.
on my stomach.
I don't know if you got that immediately. Yeah, so June to November. Yeah, on that topic, I don't remember meeting this girl at all. I don't remember knowing her at any point. And I remember you saying that we are, exactly the same age, right? I just don't remember even hearing about anyone going missing, right? I don't have a single. I remember her going missing. Remember anything like that? I mean, I was a
He
kid,
is the new maker.
but even then, could have been one of those periods when we weren't visiting very much. But it just seems weird, right? Because I don't know if you can verify these dates, but 5th of June, 10th of November, right, when she went missing and when she was found.
Wait, let me.
These were the dates when Care was gone, and given that they're highlighted in the color pertaining to Marvin, it seems to symbolize the dates she was with him. Speaking of Care, right after this, Paul makes a compelling observation.
I do agree there's a resemblance. Very strong resemblance. between us. Oh.
Okay.
Now, with everything dropped on us so far, the correlations between he and Care's existence are too frequent to discount as pure coincidence. Paul has absolutely no recollection of Care ever going missing. The two share the same birthday, and now we learn that they look alike. It's almost like they were twins, yet with the lack of any memory of her, it creates this massive paradox. How in the world does he not know of her existence if the two share so many monumental characteristics? Moving on, Paul makes his way to the bathroom, prompting this cinematic and jingle. Strangely, Paul claims that it was...
That was an experience.
Which is an odd choice of words, but to each their own. Above the bathtub is a block with a symbol. Something we've seen before. And so, Paul heads towards it, causes the game to cut to black, and back to the main menu.
Alright. There's still like an hour left in this.
What follows from this point is a demo sequence involving the road from the new Maker plane. In the next scene, we'll notice that Paul is completely silent. For some reason, he doesn't say a single word, something highly out of character considering the chattiness he's displayed so far. Initially, this clock seems ordinary. However, if we really analyze it, we realize that 12 o'clock isn't where it should be. It isn't 3 p.m. It's 5:11.
Wake up.
A few moments later, the video cuts to black and to a new clock, implying the passage of time. Here, though, things have shifted. Yet, like earlier, our perspective is once again off. It is now 6:14 p.m.
How does that work?
At the end of the road is a building. The camera heads straight into it, drops us back onto the new Maker plane with Marvin, and curiously, introduces the concept of in-game communication. For a brief moment, Paul and Marvin have a back and forth before he takes off northward. And as we follow him, we end up discovering an entirely new area, being the school.
Oh. What the fuck?
Upon heading inside, we
I
realize
have not seen this in the slightest. This is new to me.
On its head. Instead of a camera-locked adventure game, we can now navigate the world in 3 dimensions, effectively adding a new layer of depth and interactivity to it. Apart from its merits though, it's clear that this section needs a lot of work, and for all we know, the developer probably didn't spend much time on refinements. Regardless,
yes,
a handful of intriguing concepts are introduced, like the fact that Marvin seems to have taken the shape of a tool, seems to have some capacity of control, and that various objects like padlocks can be manipulated. After the pair tried their hand at cracking it, the game cuts to black once more and throws us back into Marvin's home. The jingle again plays, the cinematic goes in reverse, and weirded out, Paul claims,
The hell? That was an experience.
"Wait a goddamn minute, there it is again." Alright,
God damn it, Paul.
Somehow when Paul walked up into that block, he created some sort of lapse in time. And this goes further than just a simple case of synchronicity. To understand what I'm talking about though, we need context from the rest of this episode, so we'll circle back to this in a minute. Bizarrely, Paul acknowledges the lack of a white block above the bathtub. He has clear knowledge of what took place before and after the clock sequence, but during it is what remains ambiguous. Nevertheless, Paul exits the bathroom and realizes that the home has now changed. It's no longer Christmas, and on the wall sits only the green calendar. After messing around for a bit, Paul examines a note on the home's bulletin
Dude,
board.
that's the Forsons
Reading.
in the offline.
"My husband may come here after 6 p.m. Please stay overnight if you can.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much."
Gamer.
He then heads to the calendar and learns that the date is now June 5th, the night Care went missing. And with this newfound context, it really drives home just how ominous that note is. Someone was supposed to be watching her, protecting her, yet it's like they were never there.
Hey
After
man,
heading
things could
into a
happen.
newly opened room, we encounter.
Oh, am I still in the
Care A.
Starfield category?
She's sitting atop a yellow bed.
Feels bad.
Is frozen in a block of ice.
I'm still.
On the back wall, we
What?
can observe a window and a clock, revealing that the time is
I'm
now 6:10.
number
But
12
wait a minute.
on.
Earlier the game told us it was 6:14, so how the hell did we travel back in time here?
We didn't.
Can I get on
It's
this bed?
frozen. She's cold.
I'm supposed to get up on the bed.
Beam.
Paul messes around this room before taking interest in the window. He heads outside to examine it, yet realizes that there's no way up there. Upon heading back in, though, he suddenly becomes locked in a closet before encountering a certain friend.
It's a fun thing. Fun thing that just happened. I didn't do that. I can't close doors. I can't open doors either, so I also can't yeah. That's fun. I don't know, I mean I know it. I know what it wants me to do now.
Just meant to sit here.
Yeah.
He goes to get a Subway sandwich, you know. Time passes.
What? Uh-oh.
That
And
was
we
so
finally learn
random.
The true meaning of Care left the room. It was when she was taken.
Kidnapped.
Now, I'm not entirely sure if the game reverted to a previous state or if the abduction was a recording of prior events. But right after this text box, the closet door opens, the room's ambience reverts to as it was, and Care is reinstated at her initial position. With what we just witnessed, Paul heads outside to inspect the window, and to his surprise, he finds a ladder. And so, much like Marvin, he heads up and inside the house, and is finally able to catch Care A.
Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Well, that's that. Wish I can look at the pets now.
When the emergency began, you were all looking for Care A. I told you all we would never find Care A. When Care A goes missing, she goes missing forever. My brother didn't want us to find him because he knew we were all looking for Michael A. I'm back. This is my
Michael
present
A?
for you. I started it in 1996 for Marvin. If you think they're worth any effort, see if you can save Care B or Care NLM. Care B is in the school, of course. Fuck you all, and fuck me as well. Merry Christmas. Check your bathroom now. Rainer.
Check your
All right,
bathroom
once
now.
Again, Rainer's at it with the non sequiturs. Apart from the reference to Michael, here we can observe them making clear references to the abduction of Care. It seems that somehow they bear significant knowledge about her
Absurd game
present
of
location
Saw.
and how she's been permanently scarred by what Marvin's done to her. Atop this, we learn that this game was made for him, yet considering his overall role in everything we've seen, it shrouds Rainer's motives in even further ambiguity. Given the ending, it implies that they carry some semblance of guilt for something, and for all we know, it could be about Care or even something to do with that nod to Michael. There was a reason he was randomly thrown into Care's description, so how does he tie into this? What is clear is that Rainer seems to have known about Marvin's obsessions, about family conversations, about where Care was kept, how and when she was taken, everything.
Bro, what?
They were complicit in some capacity. It's just the extent that's cryptic.
Wake up.
Moving
It's the
on,
first of
Paul
the
heeds
month.
Rainer's request and heads to the bathroom. While here, the game cuts to black once more before we're thrown back in the school, observing yet another demo. After poking around, the player character encounters a room with a chalkboard, a desk, and Marvin.
Dude.
Marvin instructs the player to play some music
can't
on
get-
something called the Needles piano, and so they do, making Marvin a happy man.
Is that a marriage? Music.
As the player continues their song, they begin to mess up, in
Okay.
turn pissing Marvin off. In response, he states that Tiara plays bad music too, to which the player responds with the word sad. And with that incredibly insane climax, Petscop 11 draws to an end.
Wake
Let's
up.
talk about that bathroom.
It's the first of the month.
As we can recall, there was a weird synchronicity with both times Paul was in there. Somehow, he stated the exact same phrase twice when the home was frozen in two separate states. Interestingly, the later
That
and
was an
earlier portions of
experience.
the video don't just line up in that one instance, though, as when both clocks approach 6:15, the collision with the building roughly coincides with the time Marvin would encounter Care. Have a look.
Can turn off the game. It's not even worth using.
What?
What? Oh.
Time within this home appears to be broken. If we assume that all of Petscop 11's gameplay is solely done by Paul. As we can recall, he isn't actually in control of the way these videos are structured and presented, as that role lies with those who Paul passed the channel to. they're editing things, purposefully creating confusion, and could have very easily manipulated Paul's voiceover to give the impression of time divergence. To me, the road sequence seems to be old, recorded gameplay from Marvin. Like I touched on prior, Petscop harbors a mechanic that allows these recordings to play back in real time, regardless if there's a current player in the game or not. With that said, it's clear that the channel holders are crafting a narrative and painting a very specific picture of how Petscop is played. And with the strange, confusing phrasing from the video's description and their knowledge of the impact of certain censored objects, it's almost like they personally know everyone involved in this story. It's almost like they're family.
Alright. Depression.
Petscop 12 begins with a demo recording in the mirrored side of the Quitter's room. The player pokes around a bit before heading towards the mirror, encountering a completely new character. Someone with some sort of pyramid head who also replicates their actions. Given the theme of duality presented all throughout Petscop, we can recall that we've been on the correct side of the Quitter's room before. And if we line up our prior footage with this one, we find that they are an exact match. The pyramid head is Paul, which leaves us to wonder who's playing the game here. The player leaves the room before, somehow, Paul's character collides with them and disappears. They collect bits and look around before yet another mechanic is introduced, this time being direct messages to the player, who we learn is a girl named Belle. Hi, Belle. You're free. I left these messages for you to look at in case you were ever rescued. So while you walk around looking for something to do, I'll come up periodically. When the messages run out, I'll be out of your hair forever and ever. Right after closing the dialogue box, the video cuts to the yard. Belle examines Mike's gravestone before she's greeted with another. You've apparently been running Petscop non-stop for 553,758,221 seconds, or 153,822 hours. That looks dubious to me. What do you think?
That's a lot of time.
This amount of time equates to over 17 years. That is an impossibly vast amount of time to be playing a video game, and even more so for Petscop of all things.
Unless you're
Moving
stuck
on,
in.
we're given even more cryptic messages.
Unless you're stuck in the game.
Are you still sitting on a chair? Can you still look around the room? Is there still a room? This is the child library. You're not family, so I didn't add your traits to the face system. That means I didn't add your eyes, or your eyebrows, or your nose. After this, Belle heads out to the new maker plane where she encounters Marvin. The game instructs her to not get lost before capping things off with one final message. Happy birthday, Belle. I'm calling you Belle because that's who you are. You might be confused as to what happened. I was overeager before and started calling you Tiara prematurely. I created a space in the menu for you, still unused now. Then I put you inside the machine and played the second movement of Stravinsky's Septet on the needles. I played it wrong, but that would have been okay. If you hadn't given up halfway, you would still be Tiara. This is not what happened. And now I'm gone.
Clap.
Belle is a victim of attempted rebirthing. And because it failed, the person writing these comments who I'm assuming to be Rainer, is now dead.
What the fuck, Pyramid
This
Head?
episode was pivotal in setting the foundation for other characters outside of Paul, because it finally establishes why Belle was always seen inside the Quitter's room. She fought back. She resisted her abuse. She was, in their eyes, a quitter. On top of this, we learn that she isn't even family. For all we know, she could be a victim of kidnapping or even unethical adoption, landing her in the custody of either Marvin or Rainer. No matter the specifics though, the result was all the same. Her childhood was stolen. She was psychologically abused, and at some point, forced to play Petscop for 17 entire years.
A Hot Pocket at 4 a.m. That
So,
was
how's that
probably the
possible?
highlight of me being awake for like an hour. Electro doesn't understand that
If we assume that
if
Belle
I'm
is a
tired
life player,
and I want
this
like I
implies that
fit
Petscop
like I
carries some
really want to
semblance of
sleep,
multiplayer.
I am
And
sleeping for
given
more
that the
than
game
12
was
hours
developed
straight.
in the year 1997, when the PS1 was incapable of online gameplay, it implies that Petscop is some sort of technological marvel. Rainer engineered a system that could break the fabric of the PS1's capabilities, opening an entirely new world of potential. Right?
No, it's like there's someone in the game,
Well, no.
right?
I know how cryptic Petscop has been so far, and while we could
I
suspend
mean,
our
that's what we're
disbelief
supposed
and
to
run with that
think,
theory,
but I'm pretty sure
I don't
like,
think it's
just,
quite
like,
right.
someone playing 2-player and it's
as
funny.
we can recall, Rainer presented Belle with a set of questions. Are you still sitting in a chair? Can you look around the room? And is there still a room? This is not live gameplay, but the product of player emulation. This entire time, we've assumed that demo gameplay aren't just recordings, which in a way they are. They're just not quite the kind we assumed. It seems to me that there's some sort of artificial intelligence being trained here. The Belle we're observing isn't the product of a player, but that of a computer, explaining how the synchronicity between Paul and Belle's movements were possible. We're gonna dive into this point in much greater detail later, but for now, just know that the other players within Petscop aren't quite human. At least, not now.
They're building humans.
Barring the fact that it's a demo, Petscop 13 throws Paul back into the picture. He manipulates the bucket in hopes of finding its purpose before he makes a connection.
I'm gonna have to
regarding
make a
tool
new
he
email.
saw on the road.
For
He pushes
like
the
a
bucket towards
reaction.
it, eventually passing under an object that looks strikingly like the sign for the gift plane. Once here though, it heads up and out of reach before he navigates it into the pail.
Wow, okay.
Mine. That audio is so
Paul then
horrendous.
uses the tool on the machine inside the house and gains 15 bits.
So smart, Paul. Why does it say demo though?
Now, with this new discovery in mind, combined with the shrouded gift plane sign, it gives Paul an idea.
Toni.
Okay, this is a new file. It might have occurred to you, as it occurred to me, that these rooms are... this room and the house are counterparts because they both have this bucket and they're shaped similarly, so I thought I would try out what we did before.
He starts a new file and begins catching the pets as he did before. But this time, he takes the bucket to Ronit's room to try his hand at catching them once again.
But I should not have felt doubt. Just...
Wow, so smart. Petscop kid, smart.
Ronith is Tonith's baby half-brother. Because he's younger, he gets to learn from all of Tonith's mistakes. That's why he always looks both ways. He doesn't get in trouble. You won't have to watch him all the time. He's good. It seems that what happened to Tonith really ground away at Rainer's psyche. This is the third reference to roads, looking both ways, and being hit by a car, which really leaves me wondering what it is they're getting at here. This clearly impacted them greatly, so who is this referencing? Following this, Paul heads out to catch the remaining pets. The game cuts to Amber's room, and we can see him utilize the wall glitch method once more. Congratulations, you caught every pet in even care, aside from Tonith, who isn't here yet. You've seen everything in the game so far, but there will obviously be more. It's a growing organism. The controller inputs will be useful, but your feedback will be even more useful. Please leave the PlayStation on when you leave.
Stand
you
up.
can stand up now.
Clap. Clap. Does he stand up now? Turns out this fucking machine is actually like a crypto miner. Oh, we gotta set up for a birthday party soon. I gotta do... What do I have to do here?
This windmill vanished off the face of the earth. Here's a similar puzzle. There are two pictures of a door. In the first picture, the door is closed. In the second picture, taken later, the door is open. Nobody opened the door. The door did not open itself. The door, in fact, did not open at all. What happened? Take note of the player's movements. They're nonsensical, like this demo is recreating them, made from other areas of the game. Thinking back, we've seen this idea before, and keeping in mind the riddle we just read, it unlocks an entirely new method of thought regarding how Petscop can be played. After about a minute of moving around the beds, the game cuts to black, signaling another time jump. And immediately after, Paul's gameplay begins, where he discusses these ideas in further detail.
Suddenly inspired by an idea that is, in a way, similar to the idea that brought me to this house. Because that idea involved pretending something was there that wasn't there.
Yeah.
And this idea involves pretending that this door, right here, this one, is open rather than closed. You can see that it's closed. But what I'm going to do, and what I invite you to do as well, is I'm going to picture in my head that this door is actually open right now. And if I were to pass through this doorway, what would happen? Would I bump into a door? No, because the door is open, right? I would just keep going into the room that's there. And I happen to know, I'm going to walk into the room right now. I'm in the room. I happen to know what this room looks like because I saw it in a demo recording just today. And you can see it too. I assume it will be up on the family YouTube along with this video that I'm recording right now.
The family YouTube.
You can see what the room looks like in that recording. On the right side, there's a windmill. I don't have it in front of me right now. I should. On the right side, there's a windmill. On the left side, there is something that Marvin does not bother to look at, but we will be looking at. The question is, what do I do next? If I were in this room right now, would I...
What?
Paul exhibits clear knowledge of the various game states. As we know, the version he's playing differs from what's shown in the demo, and after watching what he referred to as Marvin's gameplay, he believes he can emulate it by counting his steps and assuming that unpassable obstacles aren't there. Given that the resulting demo recording has been overlaid onto Paul's raw footage, it solidifies his intuition as we can observe what would happen if he were in that world. Now, with that said, I do find it interesting that Paul referenced this channel as the family YouTube, as it all but cements the fact that they're aware of identities tied to the characters of the game. Where Paul fits in the family tree is presently ambiguous, and so too are the reasons for why he's forced to play it in the first place.
Yeah, why is he forced
What
to fucking
exactly
play this
are they looking to gain here?
abomination?
Moving on, Paul continues manipulating the game and makes his way to the dresser on the left side of the room. Upon analyzing it, we see a grid of 15 CDs in various states of rotation. Unaware of what he's interacting with, though, Paul assumes it's a dialog box with a ton of text and begins spamming buttons to get through it.
It's probably cryptic, and we don't really care too much about, so we're gonna press X a bunch of times to get through all the text. But we can look at it later. And there could be a lot of it, so could be like a book in there, a lot of stuff I don't care about.
Damn.
Or it's not a text box, and it could be literally anything else in the world that happens when you press X. Cat, what are you doing? Stupid. Yeah.
Alright, I don't know if this is cheating, but upon enabling the Petscop subtitles, we learn that the tune Paul is humming is called Care's Melody. Now, I'm not entirely sure how the Needles piano works, whether every note plays with a single button press, or if you orchestrate them specifically. If it's the latter, though, why is it called Care's Melody, and how in the hell did Paul know how to play it? Ugh, honestly, I could be way overthinking this. Hell, I've been watching
This game
Petscop
too fucking much.
So, back to the CD sounds. Paul begins spamming them once again. Interestingly though, once he makes it to the one in the very middle, CD 8, the sound is different. This is the only one facing the opposite direction. It's mirrored, backwards. And if we think back to Paul's confusion with direction,
Right, left, right side.
we can establish a tenuous connection here. What the significance is remains to be seen, but let's keep this in mind moving forward. After a few more minutes of fumbling with these discs, Paul notices that the bedroom is half black and half green. He heads out and moves the bucket into the bedroom and near the second sensor and somehow figures out a way to paint the wall black. Once done, the sensor disappears and he receives a black key.
Okay, hopefully we got it.
He takes this key out and over to a previously locked door near the front of the house, and after unlocking it, we hear yet another choir sound before the game again resets to the main menu.
A lot to say about this.
Here I am.
Oddly, Paul's save file is gone, replaced by one called Strange Situation. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
In real life, the term strange situation carries a connection to parent-child relationships. In the 1970s, a psychologist named Mary Ainsworth devised a procedure to observe and measure the amount of attachment exhibited by infants towards their mothers. To achieve this, families would voluntarily undergo testing, which involved 8 sessions lasting 3 minutes each. The strange situation procedure went as follows. A mother, a baby, and a stranger enter a room for less than a minute. Soon after, the stranger leaves for around 30 seconds. Upon returning, the mother leaves. Once she returns, the stranger again leaves. After another 30 seconds, the mother leaves the infant alone. The stranger then returns, followed by the mother, to which the stranger would leave again, bringing the procedure to an end.
What?
The goal of the strange situation was to monitor the child for how they'd react to the absence of their mother, and within the presence of a stranger, ultimately categorizing the kids in 3 distinct attachment styles: secure, resistant, and avoidant. Their diagnoses were utilized to find out how a child was brought up in their home life. For instance, an avoidant child is implied to have been unloved and rejected, and considering that kids are a reflection of their caregiver's behavior, I'm sure you can see how it went up the chain.
Very smarticles. I don't know anything about that shit.
Now, it goes
I
without
play
saying
video
that the
games all day.
connections between this
It's
and the
not.
characters within Petscop are clear.
That's
The
not a
3
skill
emotional
tree I
states
maxed
Rebel
out. Yeah.
references all throughout this game appear to be an allegory for the strange situation. Care A was secure, positive, and loved. Care B, unloved, rejected, and avoidant. And Care NLM,
Avoidant.
resistant,
Oh.
confused,
Oh.
and angry.
Angry. Pissed off, man.
After selecting the file, Paul's back on the new maker plane. In front of
Care's
Marvin's
birthday.
house are now signs for a birthday party. It's for Care, and they seem to have gone all out to advertise it. Upon heading inside, we're immediately greeted with dialogue from Care's mother.
You made it.
Happy birthday. Why are you covering your face? Oh. And after poking around the party, Paul realizes that he can interact with the various objects. Of course I recognize you. Those eyes, that nose, that's still you. Paul then examines the calendar and learns that it's November 12th, Care's birthday, and also the day we know she returned home. After exiting the calendar, Paul receives more dialogue. I sure hope you've realized by now. It doesn't matter how long you've been gone.
It doesn't matter how much
changed.
you've changed.
You aren't lost. Stop wandering and come home.
Come home. That's scary.
Well, that was a bit out of left field, don't you think?
Stop.
If she's being cold like this, why is this birthday party even happening? What's the catch here? After this, Paul examines a new red calendar that he postulates is either for the year 1995 or 2017 and claims this.
Getting that bad feeling again.
Once again, the game seems to be speaking to Paul. It knows how to unnerve him. However, the question remains as to why the reference to 2017 would spark this. We know that the Petscop channel was launched that year, so is there a correlation? Paul continues into the bedroom, thumping into a wall that isn't there, and when inside, Care's mother claims, Care, are you okay? You ran straight into the door. Did you think it was open? Oh, poor baby.
Okay. The fuck? Okay.
Paul realizes that the discs are missing.
Uh-oh. I don't like that noise. Wow.
Where's the disc? Where are the discovery pages? What are you talking about? What disc? Discovery pages? Jill, stop fucking ignoring me. Get in here and show me where that disc is. Jill. No, Care, this is Mommy. This is your mommy. Sweetie, I'm right here in front of you. There's no one else here. What are you looking at? What's over there?
Where
Care, can't you
are
hear me?
my
Can't you
fucking
see me waving?
discs?
Snap out of it. Care, where are you going?
Slap.
Shocked, Paul takes a moment to digest what he just read. The video cuts to black, then back to his gameplay.
I think that was based off of a conversation
I had. Watch.
that I had last
Oh
year
my-
on my birthday. If it wasn't just a coincidence, then that means I'm getting pranked. But I don't know how that magic trick works exactly.
So random.
As Paul exits the room, the game crashes before he claims that he needs to call Jill.
I have to call Jill right now.
Why does this sound like someone I know?
I'm feeling very weird. So through Google, I asked the internet, how might one rewrite to a CDR? And the internet's response to that question was, "You idiot. You fucking idiot. What are you doing?"
Paul then heads into a new room, which we learn to be an empty garage. Within it, though, is an interesting revelation. Paul examines a computer known in-game as a Tarnacop and learns that the discovery pages referenced earlier are in the computer, in-game. From here, he explores the side of it and expresses his confusion. He has no idea what the hell is going on anymore, and it's clear that Petscop is slowly beginning to wear away at his mental state.
This is the website. For some reason, it's in the game on a computer screen. And this is the Your Child page. Judging by all the text. Wish I could read it. I have no idea what's going on anymore. What even is this?
In one final blow, though, Paul heads out and into the bedroom once more, revealing another sensor, to which he responds with one word before the video ends.
Fuck.
Fuck. That's the word? Fuck. Must have been like his own, like, whole ass address right there.
Above all else, the most pivotal revelation in this episode was the conversation between Paul and Jill. Somehow, Petscop appears to have been amended after Paul received the game and started playing. As we can recall, he claimed that the conversation was from his previous birthday. And given that Petscop 14 was uploaded in July of 2018 and the Petscop channel was launched in summer of 2017, the game was either tampered with, replaced, or somehow predicted events that hadn't even happened yet. On top of all of this, though, we find that Paul and Care have some level of intertwining storylines, as during that Jill conversation, Care's mother asks her by name what in the hell she's talking about. So what's this hinting at? Paul is clearly being toyed with. It's referencing personal conversations, it knows about his discovery pages, and is displaying this weird mishmash of two wildly different time periods. It's messing with him. And he knows it. Contrary to the last video, Petscop 15 is brief. The video opens with a demo recording of the school, in which we can see the player exploring a bit. Oddly though, every single time they collect a party hat, the game forces them in front of this photo, labeled girl.
Girl. Girl.
Soon after this, they find a classroom with Marvin and a chalkboard. Marvin inquires if they're here for the present before the player sits down. Soon after, the character representing Belle emerges from behind the chalkboard, to which Marvin gives an introduction. Weirdly though, she retorts, claiming that she's Tiara, which leaves us to wonder if Rainer's earlier hints about that failed rebirthing were perhaps incorrect. Belle then tells the player to press something called Nifty, and while initially confused on what that meant, they eventually figure it out, opening yet another new mechanic of this game, being a texture editor. From here, the player draws some scribbles and writes the word hi before the video ends.
Is that even like
Alright, so with the
possible to
concept
even
of the
talk?
texture editor in mind, we can assume that the responses from Pink Tool way at the beginning were actually the product of Belle. This was her method of communication before we ever knew it was possible. With this in mind though, tons of questions remain as to how in-game players are able to pull off actions like this if there's no aspect of online play available. Sure, we can take these other characters at face value like they're some sort of AI, but what if there's something else going on here? It's like we're stuck in this uncanny middle ground of ambiguity. They aren't human, but they aren't rudimentary PS1 AI either. After all, they can pull off live texture editing, of all things. So how is this possible?
No way. The system, he's gonna pull you in. No more hamburger helper. I'd be so depressed if this, like, if I had to play Petscop for more than 2 years. Damn. I don't remember this at all.
Petscop 16
I don't remember
is one
any
of
of
the
this.
shortest episodes in the entire series, yet conversely, is one of the most haunting. As we could see, the video opened with the shot inside the garage. We could see the computer and an orange car before the game cut to this burn-in warning. No controller input has been detected for a very long time. Family, neighbors, police, or whoever, keep game console running and call provided phone number. Following this, we're shown a top-down map depicting a room. On the right side appears to be some sort of piano. At the top left, a bed. And near the bottom, a TV with the picture of Marvin's living room next to it. This room is referred to as the ghost, or testing room, with the red dot tracking the location of the person that's supposed to be playing. For most of the video, that's all we see.
Yeah.
They seem to be sleeping before finally waking up, stumbling back to the chair, and resuming their playthrough.
I don't want to fucking hear the buzzing, dude. Buzzing's so annoying.
Petscop 17 opens with the player silently exploring the sound test menu. They make their way to sound file 85 and spam it for an entire fucking minute straight. As it turns out, they were onto something. because it unlocked a hidden menu.
Uh-oh.
And so we're introduced to the back end of Petscop. Here we can watch in-game recordings, check out something called Room Impulse, and also dig through the cryptic extra stuff. Here, the player checks out the Room Impulse menu and navigates to the entry titled House. Interestingly, its photo is the exact one shown in the last episode, further establishing that it is, indeed, the interior of Marvin's home. Before they hit play, they pick something called a gen, which I'm assuming is short for generation. They scroll to number 10 and hit play.
What the fuck? Are these like all of the players that have been inside this room gathering data of the heat map? Oh my god, it is.
Room Impulse appears to allow the manipulation of prior Petscop activity utilizing this enigmatic dial. At this point, what exactly we're looking at is vague. Yet one thing stands clear. Each player's movements are incredibly odd. They're running in circles, running into walls, hiding behind the TV, and are exhibiting highly unnatural behavior considering the room they're currently in. To be honest, it seems like the dial is cycling through not recordings, but waves of player emulation. It's, in a sense, facilitating external analysis of their behavior, giving the analyst an ability to weed out the failures. This is further supported once we make it outside. As we can see, there's but a handful of them that leave the front door, also coinciding with the dial being back in its natural position. From here, they hone in on a player before more of Rayner's text boxes appear. Hi there. Wake up, you're free. I want you to retrace your steps. The family, as usual, wants to learn what happened to you between November 10th and 12th of 1997. On November 10th of 1997, you ran away from your daddy's school building, and on the 12th, you arrived at your house. The question is, where were you on November 11th, and what were you doing there? I hope to guide you to a location with a spell, which I will begin now. You are a girl named Carrie Mark, and you were born on November 12th, 1992. You have a mommy named Anna, a daddy named Marvin, an auntie named Joe, an uncle named Thomas, and a cousin named Daniel. I know what you must be thinking. Have these statements always been true, or have I cursed you? Is there such a thing? A curse that changes your past? You were kidnapped and spent 5 months in an abandoned elementary school. You ran away, crying ashamed, covering your face. You were blind. At some point, your movements stopped making sense, bumping into walls and doors, dodging invisible obstacles. When were you led astray on the road?
That's weird. How did Paul say it? That was an experience.
So, Carrie Mark, huh? The girl referred to as Care, all the way up to this point.
Uh-huh.
On top of this, we've gained even more insight into her immediate family, learning that her mother's name is Anna. Unsurprisingly, Rainer keeps things vague. He mentions a bizarre curse about changing pasts and how the family, who we know to be running this channel, want to know where she was on the day between when she escaped from the school and made it back home. Now, we were just given a ton of names, and while it might seem overwhelming, for now, just remember Carrie, Marvin, and Anna. We'll get to the others later.
Okay. God damn. That's such a long video.
Story goes, your daddy used to sit on a bench with a birthday cake, trying to lure her home. Instead of missing girl signs, he put up birthday girl signs, promising cake to the birthday girl. Of course, the birthday girl never came home, to his disappointment. When I learned about this absurd story, I spent a lot of time digging. Eventually, I found out what really happened to that girl. Want to know?
Yeah, what happened? Okay. How?
The player then makes their way to a very specific spot, prompting a text box. And so, they ask, what happened to her? Revealing the following.
What's that? Oh no, it's a tombstone. Probably.
A new grave for a girl named Lena Leskowitz, explaining that they didn't see her. Let's think back. All the way back in Petscop 9, we found a girl within the windmill, and next to her was a face. The same face plastered on this gravestone. Lena Leskowitz is the windmill girl. Anna's sister, the one who completely vanished off the face of the earth. Now, within the dialogue Rainer gave us, it implies that they found her. They know where she was, what happened to her, everything. But at the same time, it contradicts their prior claims when pressing Marvin about what the hell he did. We know Rainer was extremely passionate about cracking the windmill mystery. So if he knew of her fate all along, why go through all of this? What I'm getting at here is this. At face value, her gravestone, combined with the prior references to roads and being run over, implies that she was hit by a car.
Yeah.
If we really think about it though, it may have a different meaning entirely. Let's assume that Rainer's bluffing here. He's being bold, playing the strong game, trying to get answers out of anyone who would be willing to give it. The phrase "they didn't see her" might not reference the road at all, but rather that nobody saw her because nobody could find her. This death is implied because to this day, she's still missing. After this revelation, the video continues for another minute without much substance. But while that's the case, I'd like to back up and focus on something else. The ghost room is a ship in a bottle. I purposefully glossed right over this because there is so much to say about it. In Petscop 16, we learned of what the ghost room is. It's a place where people are kept, where they're monitored, tracked, and forced to play Petscop for hours, days, maybe even years, all within the confines of its walls. At first, it's easy to take it at face value, assuming that this is a physical location with a real person. However, considering the mention of it being a ship in a bottle, I realized something.
Once you realize, Mr. Gamer.
If you've watched my channel for a while, you know that Soma is one of my favorite video games ever, and I have waited for the day when I can find an excuse to talk about it again. Soma is a psychological horror game primarily focused on one man named Simon Jarrett. After a tragic car accident, he suffers severe brain damage that needs immediate treatment. As a result, he makes an appointment to get a brain scan done by a sketchy doctor who claims to be able to cure him. And in a way, he does. It's just not how you'd expect.
Say cheese.
Whoa.
What happened?
Brain doctor.
Hello? Mr. Munchie, did something go wrong?
Simon passes out during the operation and suddenly wakes up in a world unlike anything he's ever seen. Things are futuristic, abandoned, and fucking underwater. What the hell happened? Where is everyone? And how did he get here? As he traverses through this underwater hell, he encounters a woman named Catherine who invites him to find her in another building. Along the way, she keeps in contact with him and, in a way, keeps him sane. The first half of the game mostly involves puzzle solving and making his way to her location. However, once he does, he's greeted by not a human, but this.
Robot.
Hey, down here.
No, not you two. I was really hoping you were human.
Don't let the circuitry fool you. I was human once.
I can't take it anymore. Everything's fucked. I give up. There's nothing left.
Catherine isn't real.
No.
And later in the game,
Hot
it's
babe
realized
is
that
a
we
robot.
weren't either. The central
Yeah, smash her fast.
is that of what it takes to be a human. What does humanity mean to you? Is it the human form? Is it the capability of sentient thought?
What are you?
Are you blind? It's me, Carl Semke. Wrangler? Any of this sound familiar to you?
No, actually.
Well, thanks for being so helpful. It's not like I'm knocked out on the floor or anything.
I won't spoil the ending in case you'd like to play it, but around the point Simon realizes that he isn't physically human, he learns of the true nature of that brain scan operation he went through. It wasn't for a diagnosis. It was to copy everything about him into a machine.
Wait. Huh? I kind of want to play through that game now.
Of course, Raynor isn't performing brain scans on people like in Soma. However, the parallels between their concepts are clear. We've seen references to artificial intelligence since the very beginning of this series, and have theorized that they're not quite human, yet aren't fully computer either. To me, this ghost room implies that the AI system Raynor implemented is being built through the inputs of a real person. It creates virtual counterparts of those who play it, ultimately trapping them within the confines of the Petscop world. Belle, as we see her in-game, isn't a live player. She's the computerized consciousness of the real one, mirroring her psyche, her thought process, and the way she communicates to drive Petscop further and further towards the feeling of being alive. The ghost rooms are a ship in a bottle, the in-game counterpart to the real world, the place where AI are trapped. Forever.
Aww. Poor AI. Don't worry, AI. I'll be your best friend, so you could do my my programming.
Allow me to ask you a question. If you played a game and it built a you inside of it, where it acts like you, thinks like you, where it can be you within it, and trapped it there forever.
I was gonna say that's impossible, but it's definitely a
Would you feel
possibility.
bad?
Of course I feel bad. That's it. GG, well played. Oh. Yo, guys, check him out. What? Here he is. Here's his channel. Please show him some love. It's already on trending. I already know that I'm probably not even gonna produce any views from this, but it's whatever. Love you guys. Please subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this on kick.com/copulate. Please leave a follow, say what's up. I'm not expecting much of this to get a view anyways, so hey, man, all good. Have a good day. Bye.